Finalists already in the bag. One more still duking it out off the stream. But of course, this is the match that everyone has been waiting for, aka taking on Team 8. And just to introduce the players, for those of you who may not be super familiar, we'll start off with aka LoRlo in the top lane. The Odd Orange is going to be the jungler today. Jail in the mid lane. Slave of Gods, the AD carry, and Liara on support.
And for the side of T8, team that you guys will be seeing a lot of in the LCS come the spring split of 2015. It is going to be Cali Trolls up top, Porpoise Pops or Porpoise Deluxe in the jungle, Slushy in the mid, Maple Street and Dodo rounding off the bot lane. And this should be an exciting match. Team 8, for those of you guys who don't follow the Black Monster Cup closely or didn't watch the spring or the summer season, Team 8 is the two-time Black Monster Cup champions. So they are looking for a three-peat. They've taken home a lot of money from the Black Monster Cup. The spring tournament was a little bit smaller, but the summer tournament had a lot of big names, and they took them all out. So it would be quite an upset for AKA to take them out here, especially after T8 made it through the promotion tournament into the LCS. It'd be a big boost of confidence for AKA.
Not to mention they're one of the most consistent rosters in this tournament, too. I mean, yes, it was very much delayed for a long time, and anything can happen in those off-season moments, but still, Team 8 is pretty much stuck it out throughout all of that thick and thin. Once again, we do get to see that Gnar coming through into the ban. Syndra Orianna also taken away by AK, and now Lee Sin and Zed off the table. What is that last ban for Team 8?
Yeah, it's going to be a big one, and this Lee Sin ban is going to be pretty huge. The Odd Orange, known not exclusively for his Lee Sin play, but the majority of his games are on Lee Sin, and I can't remember the last time I saw him in a competitive environment. Mostly just playing in solo queue. He's a very young player, and so we'll have to see how he's going to perform in this. And this is a little bit different of a roster than I'm used to seeing from AKA. They play with a lot of a hugely different roster in the group stages, and they also played. Actually, was a completely different team in the group stages. I think they even went by a different name. And in the Challenger scene promotion tournament, the team to get into the actual Challenger tournament, they played with a completely different roster with, I think, only Slave of Gods being the same member, if even that. So these are a lot of new members.
Consistent member in at least one of the Challenger teams, if not that one.
Okay.
So yes. there's that as well. But anyways, Nidalee now being hovered as a potential first pick. This is something that we didn't see as much of. I think we were expecting to maybe see more of it in a lot of these tournaments, but it's actually being flipped away now, and it looks like it will be a Shenlock. And oh, switch over. They got me. Slave of Gods gets his Lucian pickup.
Yep. All right. Well, Lucian we actually saw banned in the last game, I think, and did they just not go for the third ban, or is?
Yeah, I guess they just didn't. You know, whether or not it was a mistake or just mind games, or I mean, there is legit reasons to do it too. Sometimes you just want to leave something on the table, or when there's like 3 picks that you really want.
Yeah.
So there's always that option. It looks like Jace is going to be one of those, as well as Kha'Zix being hovered right now for Porpoise Pops.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, this could be a really good situation for them, because you said leaving that third ban open just allows more high priority picks to get through. And if you think you're the stronger team or a certain situation, getting yourself a lot of stronger picks will also allow the enemy team to get stronger picks. If you think you have a bigger champion pool or are able to utilize those picks better, then that could work to your advantage. You can see right away 2 power picks coming out from Team 8, Jace and Kha'Zix, and a Pantheon pickup from the side of AKA. That's a little bit interesting. Haven't seen much success from Pantheon in a lot of competitive matches recently. The couple times it was picked at Worlds, it sort of flopped a little bit and hasn't had much success. And even in the group stages, the couple Pantheon picks that we did see didn't have much success either. So, and a LeBlanc pick, it's been a while since I've seen that Pantheon LeBlanc
Not since the silence was there. Yeah, that's a really curious choice for JL. So we'll see how well that works for them, as they do get the Corki and Thresh lock in to complete their bot lane now. Only the top, or maybe the mid remaining. That Jace pick is a bit of a flex option.
Yep. Yeah. LeBlanc, did you get some quality of life buffs in the last patch?
True.
Her W now she has an extra second, I believe, to port back to the original position. and also the way her passive works has been changed a little bit. She gets the instant stealth for both her and her clone. Instead of the one, or they both get the stealth until it's broken, where it used to be the. I don't know how it works. I'll get back to you on that one. It was changed. I just haven't seen LeBlanc enough to remember how the passive was changed. It's just the way that the stealth interaction works. It's a little more fluid now, so you can be a little more creative with your jukes. It sort of is more consistent with other stealths in the game, sort of like Wukong's clone. It's more in line with how you can juke with the stealth clone like Wukong. So let me.
They get the Malphite lock-in as well to complete the roster too. So while Zumo is taking care of the confirmations on LeBlanc, we get our teams lined up. A Karma actually ends up being the support pick for Liara, so that should be an interesting bot lane as well. Karma, one of those supports that's never completely in or out of the meta, just a very different kind of team comp that we're seeing here out of AKA.
Yeah, and a very teammate-esque team comp coming out from them.
No surprises there.
Yeah, no surprises coming out. And I'm excited to see how this LeBlanc pick is going to work out. And it was actually the 4.17, I believe, that the LeBlanc changes happened. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so she creates a mirror image immediately when her passive is procced, where it used to be the mirror image popped out after the invisibility from that passive ended. And the invisibility lasts 1 second. So it just allows for a little bit more juking potential. And again, a quality of life buff. She's still not in the same place that she was when she had the silence, because that was a pretty big deal. But I mean, she's still usable. The burst is still there. And now with a little bit more potential for outplay with her passive, could open up some more opportunities. We'll have to see how that one works out for him.
So with the clock ticking down, we're kind of just discussing what the potential for this team, this AKA side, is to kind of combo that up. So it is a bit of an interesting throwback too. And if I recall correctly, I think JL, it's not necessarily like a pocket pick LeBlanc, but it's definitely something that's been much more utilized by him and that team in particular in the past, and it may just be more of a comfortable choice for him. I mean, this is not a terrible comp by any means. It's just definitely one that's more focused on the early game, with the exception of that Aurelia.
Yeah, and I mean, every mid laner that played last season, or I guess at the beginning of this season, would have LeBlanc as a pretty comfortable pick, because she was a must-pick, must-ban for such a long time, around, like, I think springtime. Before that silence nerf kicked in. So, I mean, I can imagine that he would still be pretty proficient on the champion. I'm still saying LeBlanc's be quite a bit successful, especially against squishier mid laners. I mean, like Jace, that burst could really come in handy. But
you have to be able to catch him first.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty comfortable comp for Team 8, though. So it's going to be a lot on AKA to try and make things happen early game, especially with the Jungle Pantheon.
All right, with that said, we are going to go into our quick break before we hit Summoner's Rift for the first game of our final series tonight. Again, Team 8 taking on AKA. Will the newly minted LCS team triumph over their opponents, or AKA pull off a surprise upset? You'll have to find out. These guys will be right back with the Black Monster Cup right after this.
Do you think of me and the way you used to love me, and the way you used to love me? When you're lonely, do you toss and turn in the night? Is the grass still as green as you thought it was? Are you thinking in the back of your mind, there ain't no place I go? There ain't no place I go. Click your heels and go. There ain't no place I go. It's been a whole year, and I still feel the same for you. Maybe we had to go there.
All right, everybody, welcome once again. We're getting ready to kick off game number 1. It is going to be LoLPro, or no, that's the last game. Excuse me. It's going to be AKA taking on Team 8. Black Monster Cup playoffs. This is the final set of the night. Still waiting on results from Boreal eSports versus Enemy, but so far we have Zenith eSports, of course, and LoLPro moving on forward into the semifinals to take on their opponents, which are yet to be decided. So, pause coming in. Zumo, what do you make of these comps? I know you talked a little bit about Team 8, but how about this one coming out of AKA?
It's a really interesting team comp, and it's going to rely on quite a few things. Orange on the Pantheon is going to have to make a big impact early on. Pantheon is a champion that has to be really heavily focused on those early ganks. He doesn't clear the jungle very quickly, especially compared to Kha'Zix, who can focus more on a farm-heavy jungler and can also focus a lot on counter ganks. He will really get outmatched if he tries to stay in the jungle and farm. And of course, he is going to get outscaled as the game goes on as well. So, as far as team comps go, on paper, I would give the edge to Team 8, not only because it seems like their team comp is a little bit more well-rounded, but also the fact that they have a lot of comfort picks there. But, I mean, AKA, these champions can be really explosive and have the potential to snowball super hard. So, don't count them out just yet.
Yep. This is definitely something that's going to be one of those high-risk, high-reward types of compositions, especially with not a lot of late-game insurance. It's going to come down to how they end up playing those high-skill cap champions. So, pause still underway here. Team 8. I mean, this has been their MO for a long time. Yeah, Lucian was denied away from them. However, Maple Street does have a pretty wide champion pool to be able to utilize, and Corki being in the meta definitely favors him.
Yeah. And it's kind of more exciting to see the focus shift back towards those mid-game 80 carries instead of the super late-game farm-heavy 80 carries like Tristana, like Kog'Maw. So a little more excitement happening. And the big matchup that I'm going to look for in this series is most likely going to be in the mid lane. It's been a while. We talked about it a little bit in Champion Select since we've seen LeBlanc played successfully in competitive play, especially after those silence nerfs. And Slushy, Jace, I would think would be one of his comfort picks, and it's been a pick that's been increasing in popularity, especially since the Korean teams brought it out in full force during the World Championships. So I'm really going to look to the mid lane to see how this game's going to go, and especially with some jungle presence. If Orange can manage to get a couple successful ganks onto Slushy, or even onto Cali Trolls up top and get those solo lanes rolling, then AKA could be in for a pretty good ride in this game.
Mm-hmm. And that being said, too, there are a lot of chances that they can get in and make some huge plays early on. Pantheon, once he hits 6, is definitely an all-over-the-map kind of jungler. However, as you said in this mid lane, it'll be really interesting to see how LeBlanc interacts with new Jace too, especially considering Jace has been, kind of in and out of the meta, as you said. He sort of cycles around a lot, and I feel like this is a matchup that we've seen, but not for a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, and both these teams are both kind of throwbacks. I mean, not really that long ago, probably earlier in the season, but Malphite is a pick that is reserved for really only Cali Trolls. He's been one of the only people to bring that out so far. And while Jace is coming back in the meta, he's sort of makes his rounds. I talked about that a little bit earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was
we did see Malphite earlier in today, but it was a little bit different kind of composition.
Yeah. They don't use it the same way that Cali Trolls uses it. He can play Malphite even as sort of like a lane bully. He builds it very heavily into damage most of the time, at least the times that I've seen him play it in the run into the LCS, and the couple times that I've seen him play it in the Black Monster Cup as well. And I mean, you look at maybe with the exception of Kha'Zix, a lot of these champions would have been played at the beginning of the spring season as well. So, and it's been a while since we've seen Team 8 play. It was the promotion tournament was the last time, and then before that was the summer season of Black Monster Cup. So I think the challenger stuff needs to happen more often. But
no, I completely agree, man. It's definitely something that I don't think people get to quite see enough of, and it's kind of cool in a way that we got delayed because we get to see like a lot of this stuff happen immediately post Worlds,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to like, oh well, we're gonna have to wait a little while and then we see what people make of it and then how that gets copied. But it's almost like a whole brand new meta for just a short period of time.
Yeah, for those of you who are curious, it is the Black Monster Cup Fall quarterfinals were actually supposed to happen about 5 weeks ago, I think, at the beginning of September or even towards the end of August. But we had spectator client problems, and then with Worlds happening, there was a lot of people that were gone and a lot of teams that were in transition and stuff. So we went through a lot of changes. Some teams had to drop out. Curse Academy even, they have some players that aren't there, so they weren't able to make it. They had to drop out of the quarterfinals.
We had some curious instances too, where like, what was didn't Coast drop out, and then some of their members that were on the team at the time are now on teams that we just saw play.
Yeah. So there's been a couple of team swaps as well. It's been a little bit hectic, but I think we settled on a solid 8 teams for the quarterfinals, and I mean it's been exciting so far. And like we said, Team 8, the 2-time defending champions of the Black Monster Cup, looking for the third, but they got a big road ahead of them. This is only the quarterfinals, and AKA gonna try and to slay the champions.
See if they can do it. 3 members, 4 now moving towards this bot side. No real shenanigans, just starting, and teammate knows how to play an early game. Nice and safe. It looks like that's what they're going to be trying to do.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty exciting level 1s thus far today. Zenith earlier on had some great ones. In the last series, we saw Keith McBrief get hooked time and time again in that first series on the Janna, giving up that first blood in that bomb site bush. So some creative level 1s, some interesting level 1s, some good level 1s, some bad level 1s today. We'll have to see what this series has in store for us.
I've seen pretty much all kind of level 1s at this point. So
Yep.
yeah, looks like we're going to get the good old 4-man wait in the bush. I don't think teammate is going to fall for this one though.
This is an interesting spot to be in. I mean, this could set up for a late blue invade.
They're going to commit quite a lot to this though, and that's the thing. If they don't go for moving early into lane, I don't know if it's really worth it. They're going to have to snowball that into like a couple of buff steals or something.
Now, this could be tough. I'm not sure if that ward is actually going to spot him out. They are going to go for that late invade.
Unless Liara gets dangerously listed. No. They are able to get away from this one. So this is going to be a 4-on-3 with Slushy moving towards the mid lane right now. And they're going to have to back off this. They realize it's happening. There comes the Q in. Oh, Dodo's in a little bit of trouble right now. He has to run out of this one. They might be able to pull this steal off. Shock and awe value here as Maple Street gets taken pretty low. Porpoise is there, but the steal comes out. And it's Auto Orange picking up the first blue buff of the game right then.
Yeah, very impressive level 1 invade there, and I don't think teammate really expected that. Does give some free farm time over to Slushy in the mid lane, but not very much, and this could very well be a 3-buff swing for the Auto Orange, which is a start that a Pantheon really loves.
Yep, so with that going the way it was a bit like surprising for Porpoise and for teammate in general. So if they do manage to get that 3 buff, that'd be really awesome. But right now, Auto Orange isn't really going for it. He's just taking his time. Neither team is really trying to force it, but it all come down to the individual mechanics level, it seems.
This could be a little dangerous, though. Pantheon does clear very slowly when he's by himself, so I mean, he can very safely get those 3 buffs, but it's going to take him quite a while, and if he decides to go for that, it's going to take away a little bit from his early gank path, which we talked about a little bit earlier. That's something that Pantheon sort of relies on and needs. You sort of need to make an impact on the game early, or else you're going to fall off and get outscaled.
Auto Orange hanging out in that brush, waiting for Slushy to overextend just a little bit. So far, so good, as AK are finding the slight little holes that they might be able to exploit to take down Team 8. So JL is doing his best to kind of look tasty here, but I don't know if Slushy's totally fallen for it. He sees that flashing forward. They will get the stun out, but do not connect the chains. And they get out 1-2. Try again next time.
And that's a great flash by Slushy as well. Flashing over to the side to give no chances for those chains from JL to come out and hit him. So basically flash from the jungler, traded for a flash from the mid laner. So not the worst of trades. And Slushy should be in an okay position in that mid lane. I'm sure he's going to want to back early on, not only to get that tier, but also to pick up some wards to fend off against those attacks.
And so far, AK's bot lane is actually doing quite well. And of course, any lane with Lucian is probably going to be a reasonably bullying lane, but double that up with a Karma, and you've just got a recipe for poke. So
yep.
Maple Street's got to be careful. Oh, there's the Relentless Pursuit in, and Slave of Gods might have taken a little more poke than he was bargaining for, but he does dish it back onto Maple Street. Meanwhile, a roam from Cali Trolls is going to mean they're going to try and collapse on Auto Orange, who jumps onto Slushy. There's the chains onto JL. That's first blood going over to Slushy, though the teleport from Cali Trolls is going to force the flash out of JL, and they get a 3-man mid lane, taking out that jungler. So a real nice collapse there, and really odd positioning from Auto Orange.
Yeah, very quick reaction time from Cali Trolls on that teleport, but ends up not mattering. They do get the flash out of JL, and we'll have to see if that blown teleport going to matter. He makes it back up to lane pretty quickly without losing much, but at the same time, if there's a move onto Dragon by AKA, then they would have the Dragon or the teleport advantage in that situation. But I actually like that teleport move. It was a very quick reaction, and I like when top players aren't afraid to pull the trigger.
Here we go. Porpoise, he's finding Slave of Gods. They're going to flash forward on it, but it might not be the one they want. Liara might be the one they go for. Not enough damage, and they both get away just barely. But again, going for the jugular. Teammate is unafraid in this game, and they're taking little leads everywhere they go. As you mentioned, that teleport advantage may come in handy if in the next 2.5 to 3 minutes AK go for a dragon, but with a play like that, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, Porpoise Pops is really putting on the pressure, putting on more pressure than the Auto Orange, and that's something that you, again, I say it, you don't want to have happen if you're the person playing Pantheon in that situation, because Kha'Zix is going to outscale you as this game goes on, and Slushy picks up the double buffs from Auto Orange in that mid lane, so he's really going to be able to bully out JL, especially with that early kill. And look at the Shock Blast.
Already starting to hurt. Yep.
Exactly, just with the Doran's Blade.
Another thing worth noting, too, is the choice of masteries from Cali Trolls. He goes for the Biscuit Mastery, so he's dipping into the third tier of that mastery tree.
Yep.
And that should help him down the line just for this early game to sustain up against Aurelia. He actually hasn't felt the need to go for the Crystalline Flask.
Yeah, it gives him that flexibility. And that's something that a lot of Malphites just aren't comfortable doing. Not only for the fact that they need to sustain for their health, but the fact that they need to sustain for their mana as well to be able to CS effectively. I guess Cali Troll's just confident that he has enough experience on that champion to be able to CS, and you can tell he's doing a pretty good job of it. It's pretty tough to CS on Malphite without using a lot of your mana on spells, especially when you're being pushed on a turret.
Oh yeah, and he's keeping pace pretty well with LoRlo, able to deal the damage right back on as well. And in this bot side, Dodo and Maple Street are starting to pick up the pace just a little bit. Slave of Gods is able to push back onto it, but nonetheless, they're trying to look a little bit tasty because here comes Porpoise around the side. Not getting spotted out by a ward just yet. If they can get a couple picks here, they should be in prime position to set up that dragon. For now, it's a slight lead in their favor as Odd Orange shows face in the mid lane, forcing Slushy to back away.
Yeah, and this is something that Pantheon junglers usually have to resort to if they're not able to find openings for ganks. Is they kind of have to go into these lanes and share experiences and try and push these lanes because they just clear their jungle so slow early on before they get that first jungle item. So not only is that gonna put a little pressure on the Slushy, help JL push that lane out, but also give him a little bit of extra bonus experience to help him get over that early game hump.
So with everything just stabilizing just a little bit after a lot of that early action right now, teammate looking to play the little bit of the conservative route and see if they can take opportunistic picks if they can. Here comes Porpoise. He is clearing out the white camp right now. Should be in prime position for a Lantern gank if they want to go for it. But Odd Orange is waiting in the brush. This could be a 3v3 if they do go for it. Looks like Porpoise is not going to opt for that one.
Yeah, this could be dangerous.
Maple. Oh, he's in trouble. Going to Valk away, but there's the tether. Does he have enough? No, he doesn't. He's going to go down on one more tick of the culling. Odd Orange nearly falling as well, but he will be able to get away from that. So a nice and patient play from AK nets them a bit of results.
Yeah, great pickup there, and that could have been bad if Cali Trolls did have his teleport. He could have teleported into that bush and probably gotten at least a kill, maybe even saved Maple Street's life had he reacted quick enough, but that teleport was down. It is coming back up in a few seconds, but I guess that does come back to bite him. AKA ends up picking up a kill with no repercussions.
Of course, there's always the possibility that if he did start the teleport, he'd be in a little bit of trouble due to the equilibrium strike. But nonetheless, trading out a little bit of damage in this top side. Teammates still looking to try and find little advantages where they can, but AK is doing a fantastic job of keeping pace.
Yep. Kelly Trolls and Laura just sort of duking it out up top here, but not really anything coming to that battle. It's hard as a Malphite to stay in and keep up in CS with Aurelia up in top lane, but he's doing a great job of it, staying within 10. And
yeah, that's really not bad at all.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's not taking too much damage. Now you can see the minions starting to do a little bit of work on him, but all said and done, it's really not easy to lane against an Aurelia and to keep CS pace. So well done.
Especially blowing that teleport early on, Alaulo just not able to capitalize on that really. And I mean, right now the game just sort of stagnating just a little bit. Teammate,
A lot of vision coverage. Neither team really feels comfortable going out of that zone.
yeah. Teammate has a slight lead, but that's basically just from the CS discrepancy in the mid lane, about 25 CS. So that's where that 500 extra gold is coming from.
That's the big story.
Yeah.
The Jace versus the LeBlanc right now, and JL, to his credit, has kept pace pretty well considering he was very heavily focused early on. But even so, I mean, he's not really got the items for it, just the double Doran's rings. So
Yeah.
that is another reason why he's having a little bit of trouble here. Man drop coming in. Maple Street has to Valk away, and Dodo gets a hook off on Auto Orange, but oh my goodness, Maple goes down. Dodo is almost going as well. He's in a lot of trouble. The box nearly helps him secure up the Auto Orange, but they have focused quite a lot on that bot, and he goes back in for round 2. What is Dodo doing? Trying to buy a little bit of time for Porpoise to make some plays, and he will be able to take down Slave of Gods. Don't think he can answer back, and there's a pause coming in.
Okay, well, as you can see, if you can look on the minimap, the teleport animation for Cali Trolls is actually in progress. And you can see in the top right there, the teleport icon is actually flipping out.
It's like Slushy disconnects, yeah.
Yeah, so, and he's headed up the mid lane, so this is going to be a big clash. I'm not sure if Auto Orange and Lear are going to be able to make this one out alive. Cali Trolls full health with ultimate available, coming in hot for this one.
Yeah, this is one of the most tense pauses I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's about to be a lot of action happening as soon as this one's over. You can tell Auto Orange is out of mana as well, so he's not going to be of too much use in this fight.
The in-game chat is actually
geez.
pretty awesome as it regards to this. So Porpoise might get caught between JL here and Auto Orange. Liara's on the other side, doesn't have the tether quite up yet. But on the other hand, between the teleport and Slushy, it's really hard to call this one.
Yeah, Lorlu also has the teleport available, so I can imagine that he's going to use that as well.
Had a lot of time to think about this. A lot more than usual.
Got ourselves a good old Mexican standoff.
I didn't know I was casting with nubbins. So yeah, they're going to have to wait until they're completely sure, otherwise this fight could go entirely haywire. So looks like they got it all firmed up. The play is going to resume, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. Porpoise getting chased away. Oh,
double teleports
coming in as well. Here it is. Porpoise trying to jump away. He does get that tether off. Jail's in here. Porpoise is going to go down. This is a 4v2 right now, and Cali Trolls is trying to make something of it. Unstoppable Force coming in. Only 4 because they had a LeBlanc, I suppose. There is going to be one more pickup. Slushy getting the kill there. He is a little bit low as well. Cali Trolls trying to sustain up, and how many more kills can they get?
Whoa!
A double for Slushy on a shock blast, and they take down JL. Triple kill now. Auto Orange and Liara all down. Lorlo's here. This is going to be a follow-up. Lorlo will manage to get one more pickup, but Slushy getting another kill. The unofficial quadra coming in as Maple Street cleans up the farm.
Yeah, and Slushy right now is absolutely huge, and it looks like they are going to go for this dragon play here. Porpoise Pops is coming down, but they're probably going to end up just taking that without him. So they do come out of on top of that fight just barely. I think that was actually a 4 for 3. Actually, I think all 5 players even died, so maybe even a 5 for 3. So that's going to be about a 2k gold lead for Team Maiden. It looked a little scary for them for a second, but they're able to, on the back of Slushy 8, pick up a lot of cleanup kills off of that fight.
Yep, gets them a little bit more back in the lead with that Dragon Gold secured in their pockets. So despite Maple Street and Dodo not being available for that one, they were able to answer. Now Dodo having a little bit of trouble avoiding that AoE damage in lane. He gets pulled in. Liara as well into tower range. The Flay back with the last of his life. He may have bought a kill, but Liara gonna burn Flash as the Ignite ticks away. Dodo manages to make it out alive as well. These supports like living dangerously.
Yeah, very dangerously. And there's been quite a bit of brawls happening down in that bottom lane. And it seems like AK has been coming out on top of it. They've had a lot of assistance from the rest of their team.
Well, Cali really made the big difference in that fight by getting the, what was it, the 3 or 4 man unstoppable force, and that just made a huge difference.
With the AoE follow-up from Sushi, it was just huge chunks of damage coming out of all of AKA's health.
So Jay's now 5-0 on this game too, so that is about as good as you can expect to get.
Definitely.
As a mid Jay, so Slushi showing why that champion is so powerful right now and just what you can do at a high skill level. And Auto Orange getting caught between Dodo and Porpoise. There's really only one way this one can go. They're going to give it over to Maple, or rather they try. It's going to be Porpoise picking it up in the end.
Yeah. Just the non-gated shock blasts are even doing a pretty good chunk. Even with Seeker's Arm Guard, JL still taking quite a bit of damage. 2 levels up, 30 CS, and 4 kills on him. This is a nightmare for if you're a long player. And Cali Trolls is sneaking around!
There he goes, gets that slowdown off on that one. Liara trying to make something happen with Maple, who does get bound up by the tether, but Slave of Gods is pretty low, narrowly avoiding the hook from Dodo 8. And they do manage to answer back with a tower there. 1 tower to 1 tower now. Outer one's cracked open, and that is going to be Team 8 extending their gold lead by a couple hundred.
Yep. It's going to slow down here for a little bit. Now, this is a really strong mid-game team comp from Team 8. They have reliable ways to engage fights, strong mid-game AD carry, and good cleanup with the Jace, who's very far ahead, as well as the Kha'Zix. So I can imagine that they're going to try and make plays happen. Maybe focus around some teleport plays. The Dragon's still not up for about another 3 minutes, but I know they're going to want to try and make something happen before then, judging by the power spikes and the way their team comp is built. So we'll have to see what they're going to do, but Pantheon ult.
And drop avoided.
Yep.
That was a really well-timed Lantern. Nothing too fancy, but Dodo's able to make it happen. Wow, Lorolo's back to stop. Kelly Troll's having himself a laugh about that one. So a couple of close calls for both sides of the field as Team 8 continues to push on forward. Not in complete dominant control of this game as we may have expected them to be, but they are playing very well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been a while since they've played.
Not since the expansion tournament, or rather the
promotion
tournament. Excuse me.
So maybe just starting to get back into the swing of things. A much deserved break for them. I'm sure they were training really hard trying to get into the LCS, and they still have a while before any of that action starts. I think the spring split doesn't even start until late February, maybe even early March.
They
so
kind of have a lot up their minds probably at this point too. I mean,
definitely.
If this had taken place much earlier when it was originally scheduled, you might very well see a different style from Team 8. But no, they're playing this one out nice and easy, and they're perfectly happy to let the pace of this game flow as it will.
Yep. Kelly Troll's beating on this top lane, but again, game's just slowing down a little bit. But I mean, you can't help but think that the longer this game goes on, I think the more that Team 8 is going to start to pull ahead, because Jail's just falling further behind in the mid lane, Auto Orange just falling further behind in the jungle, having trouble finding ganks, and with such a reliable way to initiate fights with Calitrolls on the Malphite, shouldn't be too hard for Team 8 to get fights that they want.
So far, it has worked out slightly in their favor, as they do hit this mid-game power spike. Porpoise looking for little edges where he might clear some of the vision away as he makes his way towards the bot lane. There isn't really a whole lot to do there just yet, but a dragon will be up in a minute and 15. If they can set up a pick pretty soon, they're going to try for it. Triple team in that white.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort spent just to take that down.
Got to secure that guy, man.
Yeah.
It's like a whole, like, what is it, 80 gold?
Yeah. What did junglers do on the blue side of the map before the white was added?
I think they just ganked top or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was season 3, man. I don't even remember anymore.
There's been so many changes to the game where you think, like, how did people even play the game before that was added?
We had to take our own jungle timers? Man.
I know, right?
That's terrible. That's like walking 15 miles in the snow to go to work.
Yeah.
Alright, well, Cali Trolls and LoRlo continue to just slap it out with each other, pounding the ground like it's a drum. And this might be one of the slowest fights.
Uh-oh.
But Cali Trolls is actually hurting a little bit more off of it, as the Aurelia ult does come out. This 3-member squad on the bot side should be able to secure up the tower. Slave of Gods and Orange trying to make it answer back. One more minion shot would do it. Oh my goodness, they save it. And there's a teleport coming in. They have to get out of town. He gets a hook off at the last second. LoRlo getting caught up, but they don't manage to secure him just yet. Here's a big fight, and it's going to be Porpoise Pops going down. Wild Orange finally, unstoppable force. That's going to be a good turn of events for them. Dodo's being focused out by JL right now. Maple Street actually being zoned away. JL going to get the kill, and this is actually a good turn for AKA. They will be able to answer onto Maple Street, but it's Slushy coming in for the answer. Can Jace get the cleanup? LoRlo, that's a double kill going over for JL. He's the only one left in the picture though, and everyone is still afraid. Odd Orange and LoRlo the only ones to fall, but Slushy is the last member of Team 8 standing.
Yeah, that was a 5v4 for the majority of it. Slushy had actually backed into base, so not a great fight there for Team 8. They knew that they were going to be down a member in that fight, and they still...
Oh, JL going down. They do trade. So Slushy, perfect game down the drain, but he does manage to get himself one more kill for it. And yeah, this does get AKA a little bit more back into this.
Yeah, could be a dragon opportunity. Well, would be a 4v4. And the vision control actually goes over into AKA's favor around that dragon pit, but...
They don't have to take it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd be able to burst it down with just Liara and Slave of Gods. Uh-oh, stand on top of a ward.
Especially with Slave of Gods, he didn't back off after that fight. He has no mana, half health.
I don't know if they're
Unstoppable
really able to
Force
contest
is not
this, but
up,
they're
though.
going to try. Cali Trolls is still zoning away right now, and they should be able to secure this dragon up. It does go down. Porpoise will make sure that happens for his team. It's a little bit more gold into the pockets of Team 8 with Cali Trolls leading the charge down the mid.
The last fight could have gone a lot differently had Slushy been there at the beginning of that fight. That could have been the huge fight that Team 8 needed to completely break open the game, but instead they allow AKA to get back into it a little bit. After everything is said and done, gold lead's still about the same, but that gives AKA a little more hope, and the percentage of gold that they're down is less than it was before that all happened, and they're getting kills onto the mid lane, onto the AD carry where they need him. Uh-oh.
Here we go. Slushy and Odd Orange are here, but he finds him out there. Slushy's actually going to get melted. Unstoppable Force is too late to stop the damage. And Cali Trolls is finding himself in a 1v3, AKA coming in with the better counter collapse, and they managed to pick themselves up another kill onto Jace.
Yeah.
Pause game comes out again. Slushy has been having some connection troubles throughout this series, actually, so could be one of those yet again.
And a little bit careless by Slushy to head up towards that top lane. I mean, yeah, probably didn't expect them to be in that bush, but at the same time, with nobody appearing on the map and dragging it down, there's no reason for anybody on AKA to be on the bottom side of the map, so he has to be a little more cautious when going for those types of engages, especially on a champion that's as squishy and as easily caught out as Jace, especially with the lead that he has.
So now Porpoise is making a move himself towards this bot side, letting a decent-sized minion wave build up for it. Cali Troll's trying to distract the two members of AK. He takes a lot of damage in his health fort, but they pull LoRlo nearly into tower range, and the flayback will mean they keep them interested for the time being, but they're pinging to try and stop this bot side. Can Dodo get a kill onto LoRlo? Doesn't look like it so far. Man drop coming in. This tower is low. The Culling comes out. Porpoise is tanking it to the face. I don't know if they'll be able to secure this one up. That's going to be a Valk over the wall. Oh, Liara's going down, but Maple's going to follow him right after that fact. And meanwhile, up in the top lane, LoRlo, one more shot from Dead, he finally goes. JL gets ignited down. He goes.
Wow.
And that's Cali Trolls and Dodo. It's a double kill for Cali.
That was just really impressive play by Cali Trolls and Dodo. They should have lost that fight. There's so much more damage on the side of Aurelia and LeBlanc that there is on a Thresh. That's a mid laner and a top laner versus a low damage top laner and a support, and they come out on top even though they started that fight with less health. Just very impressive moves, and they make up for what they lost elsewhere on the map. They take 2 turrets from that engagement, trade 3 kills for 2, and they're going to pull a little bit further ahead. That's going to be about a 5k gold lead, or about 3.5 after that top turret goes down.
Yeah, despite having a bit of problems in that bot side, they were able to secure up the turret and then did manage to trade at least 1 for 2. So on top of that, getting the 2 kills up top was a massively impressive feat, netting a little bit extra gold in the pocket of Cali Trolls. So Team 8 pulling ahead in this game despite a couple of mistakes. They make the best of it.
Definitely. Starting to hit some power spikes. Maple Street opts to go for the Haunting guys after the Trinity Force. A little bit of an interesting choice, yeah. Trying to go a little bit AP heavy, maybe because the rest of his team is AD heavy with the exception of Malphite, but I mean, with how much magic damage Corki has, Magic Pen is a very valuable stat, but investing that into AP as well, have to see if it's going to work out for him. He's doing quite a bit of damage. We saw down there in the bot lane how fast he took Aliara. Those rockets are hurting.
It gives you the flexible option, but yeah, wow. Slushy is really putting in some work right now, and so is Maple. So let's see if they can keep this one up. 4 members now in the mid as they have Cali Trolls continuing to farm up and push in the top side. Pretty decent vision control over by that dragon area still for Team 8, but that isn't a contestable buff for another few minutes. Auto Orange joining his team to try and anti-siege this mid side.
Yeah. Cali Trolls as well starting to build towards that Magic Pen, so he's getting pretty huge. I mean, has the Frozen Heart completed, which is a great item against both, or all 3, 80 carry, top, and jungler for the side of AKA. And on top of that, that initial burst from the Unstoppable Force ground slam is going to be really huge. Uh-oh.
There we go.
Hook barely misses.
Yeah, just the slightest thing, but they have a split pushing Aurelia in Lorelo now, so, and they also have 2 members pushing on this mid side. This is going to be a pretty big dive for Team 8. If can they finally are, they can. Unstoppable Force coming in, Cali Trolls zoning Slave of Gods away. They do lose a turret for it. Can they answer back? The wave is not very big here. It's just a couple of minions, and they lose a couple of towers for it. Can they answer back and get an inhibitor? This is kind of like a pace race against the clock. Team 8 trying to fully commit to it as they do manage to get this inhibitor down, but they're going to lose a total of at least 2 or 3 for it. So, very curious game of chicken. Ends with an inhibitor and a couple of towers taken down all across the map.
Yeah, I still think that teammate comes out on top of that one. That inhibitor is going to be a pretty big deal. And they get a kill out of it as well. I mean, great reaction by AKA. They clean up the blue side of the jungle. They get a couple turrets for themselves. But an inhibitor is just worth so much, especially in pretty close games like this one where one team has a lead, but it's not a big enough lead to where they can completely snowball the game. Breaking that shell open early is something that a lot of teams value very highly, and you could tell teammate making the decision to go for it there. They really want that inhibitor.
Yep. So AKA, still playing on the back foot here, has been able to pull off some pretty impressive moves nonetheless. Dragon going to be up in about 22 seconds. It looks like everyone from teammates is mobilizing to make sure they clear all the wards out of that area. Not really too many right now, and with JL backing, this should be the chance that they're looking for to go for this one. However, Maple Street's got to be careful not to get caught out. Wow, that's a lot of damage with the Phosphorus Bomb. And they're building a lot of armor here, so that's not really going to stop that AP.
Yeah, the Haunted guy's doing work right now. And also, Slushy is massive. 3 completed items. That Mana Moon is almost fully stacked as well. I mean, it's a little bit late, but he's focused a lot on getting other items. And, I mean, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, almost a Black Cleaver complete as well. I think he has enough gold for it.
Oh, okay. Mistook, but they get the flash out of Auto Orange anyways, and here they go for the dive. Auto Orange being targeted down. JL gonna go in next, and they have the LeBlanc clone already out there. Teleport in from Lorelo, but this tower is low. They do get a hook on, and Dodo wanting to back away from this one. Again, the Team 8 hit squad coming in hot, finding themselves an Auto Orange. JL is a little bit too low to fight, has to back to base, and this siege should commence pretty quickly right now. There's still quite a few minions being able to help them tank these turret shots up, and this is a tower going down for Team 8.
Yeah, I love the zero hesitation ultimates coming out from Cali Trolls. Team 8, never a team that has been afraid to pull the trigger on engaging these team fights, and That's kind of what they need to do. Even though they get 1 kill out of it, they push him back. They get some objectives off of
They're
it.
still going. Liara's in trouble. Down he goes. That's going to be another one. JL having to burn his flash to get away. And Teammate has cracked this one wide open. Should be able to secure up the LeBlanc pick. They might even try to end it right here, right now. Death timers are actually surprisingly high. And that's LoLPro with the shutdown gold over onto the Malphite. But he's going to pay for it with his life. Slave of God's the last man standing. And they're marching on towards the Nexus turrets, starting to burst them down. Team 8 may not be able to end this right here, but they're certainly going to try.
Yeah, there's 20-second death timers, 30-second death timer on LoRaLu. Slave of Gods is the only one up. The R's up in a second, but this Nexus is falling down. It looks like Team 8, an explosive finish, and they're going to take game 1.
There it goes. Down falls the Nexus in 27.5 minutes off of a massive opportunity fight for Team 8. They take game number 1 in style, despite being kept pace with by AKA for much of the game.
Yeah, that was a little